All right, everyone, the reports are in, and apparently as of yesterday evening, it appears that Kamala Harris has completed the vetting process to choose a running mate. Now, again, I'm saying running mate as opposed to when Trump chose Vance. I said VP because I still don't think that Kamala is going to win. There is wonky polling right now. We'll be talking about that in one of today's new tech exclusives, by the way. Make sure to follow me on either BitChute or Rumble, and you can get a couple of extra videos a day. Links in the description of my channels there, of course. Here's the thing. It appears that she leans towards Shapiro as her running mate. I think that Kelly is a better choice. If I were her campaign advisor, and I'm not Barack Obama, so clearly I'm not, I would say choose Kelly. Here's the thing. There are still a lot of anti-Semites, and I mean that in the literal sense, not the figurative sense. I'm not saying anti-Semite like you did this or drank milk. That's ADL bullshit. It's propaganda. There are actually people in the Democratic Party who dislike Jewish people. And like fucking 20 years ago, when Stern was talking about politics, back when Howard Stern was actually good, he was saying there'd be a black president before a Jewish president. I agree with that summation. There are people in the country, especially in Michigan and Minnesota, are very sensitive during this election. If Kamala loses both of those, she's lost the election absolutely. There'd be no path to victory. They're loaded down with Islamists. And some of these people have, some of them are literally from Palestine. So you can have a little bit of a problem winning those states. Right now, it appears that she's at the break-even in Michigan and Minnesota, maybe a little bit ahead in the latter. Jettison a couple 100,000 voters in each one, and again, you've got a problem. The problem, another problem with Shapiro is he's got a weird style of speaking. He's a little bit too overmodulated. He's a little bit too outgoing, actually. He comes off as a little bit strange, whereas Kelly would be more demure. Would probably be, I think, a safer choice. In fact, it'd be better off going with Buttigieg, actually. A double id poll ticket's not necessarily a great idea, because Buttigieg is gay and Kamala's a BIPOC female. You could do better, but at least there's better name recognition. Buttigieg is a reasonably good public speaker. He's at the right age. He's a white male. You got to counterbalance because there are bigots in the Democratic Party, etc., etc. But it seems like she leans towards Shapiro. Apparently she's chosen. That's the new news. The scuttlebutt is that as soon as next Tuesday, I thought it would be literally yesterday, this Thursday, that the announcement would be made. There were some news reports that said that would be the case. Apparently now it's next Tuesday that we're probably going to hear who the running mate will be. Now, whoever it is, has to counterbalance against Vance. J.D. Vance is, they're trying to cast him off as weird, weirdness 2024, basically. I don't find him to be weird, generally. He has some views that I don't agree with and said some things that I don't agree with. He did spar with Trump, by the way, bigly years ago, talking about his sexual assault case and stuff like that. That's just political theater. But I think J.D. Vance is a reasonably good public speaker. He's relatively charismatic. He's very reactive. He's good at giving jabs. So I think that he beats any of the four people that are apparently on the short list. And we don't necessarily know officially whether that four people are the only one that are still being vetted or have been vetted. It could be a dark horse vice presidential candidate. That's always a possibility. Somebody is chosen out of nowhere. Somebody who wasn't even necessarily on the public's radar. The most likely is Shapiro. I just think that's, again, with Minnesota and Michigan having an increasing Islamic voting population, which generally leans left, and which favors Kamala over Biden, and has calmed down a bit, the Gaza protest sort of people. And young, white suburban liberals who, side with Gaza, etc. If you have a Jewish vice presidential candidate, I think that forms a problem for you in those two states especially. It doesn't do any, the independent voters don't give a shit, but as far as your core coalition, when you've been straddling the line between Israel and Gaza very, very carefully, as opposed to Biden. He's more side Israel, and he's made this clear, and that's why there were protests and stuff. Going into the convention, you probably reignite protests because Shapiro happens to be there. It doesn't matter if he comes out and does the Sanders shuffle and says, well, yeah, I'm Jewish, but I side with the Gazan people, or something like that. Okay, that might calm some people down, but it's not going to calm all of them down. Unfortunately for Kamala, if she chooses Shapiro, she runs that risk. I would go with Kelly myself. I think another reason she leans towards Shapiro is he's connected with Pennsylvania. Well, so is Vance. So they're from the same state. Oh, yeah, that would be competing over the state of Pennsylvania probably is a good idea. And you don't lose a lot of voters by having a Jewish vice presidential candidate in Pennsylvania as much. It's not going to be as much of an issue. I guess she's willing to jettison Michigan in favor of Pennsylvania. But I don't know how well it'll work. Trump is up by 4 there, or thereabouts. You've got quite a gap to make up. Right now, you're competitive in Michigan and ahead in Minnesota, it seems. Again, there's wonky polling. We've got to wait for, I think, at least another week or two before we're not going to know what the fuck is going on. But you've got an advantage in several very important states that you cannot lose. If Harris manages to lose Michigan and Minnesota, or even just one or the other, there is no path to victory anymore. Look at the polling in Arizona. They're trying to say that Georgia is now a toss-up state. I'm not so sure that polling is particularly accurate. Again, we need more numbers. We don't have nearly enough of them. We just saw one of the most major shakeups in politics of modern U.S. history. One candidate stood down at the last moment, and his VP is now running, and the other candidate almost got his head blown off. Things are a little bit chaotic right now, and the public is still reacting to these things. It's still big in the news. Right now they're trying to astroturf the prisoner swap, though, for obvious reasons. I think that Kamala will lose, regardless of who she chooses, but it's sort of like, which states are you interested in being more competitive in? What margin do you want to lose by, basically? At least with current polling, I would still expect Trump to win, and win fairly handily. He's still running ahead of where he was in 2016, even with the obviously cooked polling that we're seeing right now. But we need more numbers. And, of course, again, we have to wait and see who Kamalaharris decides to choose. All signs point to Shapiro, but it's not the wisest choice that she could make. He's third in rank. He's ahead of Waltz, for what it's worth. That would be probably a bad choice. That's about all. Peace out. Oh, wait, my mouse is not working. Let me try to reconnect it and see what the hell is going on over here. Shit. This might take a minute. Oh, you get an extra video footage there, you know? Come on. Do the thing. Alright, I'm going to have to use my mouse pad briefly. Oh, get over there. Bye.